Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is July 12th, 2025, and we are in the Old Testament book of Ecclesiastes. We're going to read chapter 7, verse 1 to verse 14 today. The value of practical wisdom is my little pericope. Yours might be something similar along that lines. So, what's going on in Ecclesiastes? Well, we believe Solomon writes Ecclesiastes, and he is comparing and contrasting, trying to make sense of the fallen world without God and with God. And he's showing us that without God in the picture, there's nothing that we can think or do, not our possessions, not our own wisdom, not our own feelings or works of our hands can make sense of the fallen world, can do anything more than blow away after we die. Permanence, we need God. Understanding, we need God. Why? Because God is the sovereign, God is the creator. Everything in creation moves to God's plan, not to our plan. Everything in creation bends to God's will, not to our will. So if we want to make sense of our lives and why we're here, we have to do that through God. Otherwise, vanity of vanities. Now, sometimes it's a direct contrast and comparison. Sometimes it's a little bit more subtle. That's why we're saying, Ecclesiastes, you kind of have to read the whole book and take the whole book as a whole. Otherwise, if you try and pull one verse out, you get things like, I hate life and I wish I were dead. That's not what we're supposed to be getting out of here. What we want to see is, hey, you know what, without God in it, life is really meaningless. So it doesn't matter what you do. But we don't believe that. We believe in God. And we believe that God controls everything. So we want to see how you don't turn life into vanity of vanities. He speaks in absolutes rhetorically. So when he says, I wish I were dead, he doesn't really mean that he wishes he were dead. He's just talking about that futility of trying to make sense of a fallen world from the fallen perspective. Now in this section, he's going to talk about the day of death and the day of one's birth. Now he's not talking about his death and his birth. So when you're reading it, you're not thinking about your death and your birth. You're thinking about someone else, and you're looking at somebody at the funeral and you're going, you know what? I've looked at this person at the time of their birth, endless possibilities, but then you kind of looked at the parent and go, yeah, well, good luck for that kid. But now at the death, you look and you go, okay, all the choices that person made in their lives and all the people they touched in their lives. So he's emphasizing, hey, you know what, the day of death is much more important than the day of birth, because the day of death is essentially when you're being judged by what you've done in life. And that wisdom elevates you at your time of death. And people look and go, wow, that was a smart guy. He taught me this. He showed me that this was important. So that's why we want to seek wisdom. And without God, there's still that impetus in us to seek wisdom over foolishness. And we understand foolish people, they might be entertaining for a little while, but then you go, okay, I don't want to deal with your knuckleheadedry. I got to deal with important things. I need to deal with things the way they are and the way they work. And then he starts to tie God into it just towards the end here, and bringing in and saying, you know what, the reason why we seek wisdom, yes, is because we inherently understand that's better. So even without God, we understand wisdom is better than foolishness. But when we bring God into it, it elevates it exponentially, and we understand, oh, okay, God wants us to understand what's going on, and God wants us to trust in him and say, you know what, I don't have all the answers, but I know God has the answers. So I'm going to trust God, and I'm going to stop worrying about trying to figure it out on my own. So let's go ahead. We're going to read Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 1 to 14. A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. Better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men. And the living will take it to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by a sad countenance the heart is made better. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools. For like the cackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of the fool. This also is vanity. Surely oppression destroys a wise man's reason, and a bribe debases the heart. The end of a thing is better than its beginning. The patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. Do not hasten in your spirit to be angry, for anger rests in the bosom of fools. Do not say, why were the former days better than these? For you do not inquire wisely concerning this. Wisdom is good with an inheritance, and profitable to those who see the sun. For wisdom is a defense as money is a defense. But the excellence of knowledge is that wisdom gives life to those who have it. Consider the work of God. For who can make straight what he has made crooked? In the day of prosperity be joyful, but in the day of adversity consider, surely God has appointed the one as well as the other, so that men can find out nothing that will come after him. May God bless the reading of his word, and may God bless you. Bye.